Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Today we are going to talk Todd Boehly, Chelsea takeover, Roman Abramovich, concerns, government alarms as it's being reported. There are a lot of people asking the question on a base level saying, why hasn't it been announced? Why is the sale not completed? Why is Todd Boehly attending Chelsea games but there is still all of this commotion, we could describe it as. And hopefully today, for those of you that aren't fully aware of the situation, I'm going to try and break down the current issues as best as I possibly can. And then later on today, there will be a second video on GBFC, talking a little bit more on a positive line regarding transfers, players coming in, players leaving. Before we get into anything though, I do want to point you guys in the direction of the link in the description. Bet Victor's Last Fan Standing. You guys know I am a regular guest on the show. This week we were talking all about Premier League managers of the season, talking about the most disappointing manager of the season. What Rodgers has been kind of known for is the nearly man. Then he wins an FA Cup and you do expect him to build upon that. Yeah, they've had European football in the kind of competition that nobody really wants to be involved in, which you could always use as like a backwards rationalisation of why he's done all right. But I think overall, this guy was being linked with an Arsenal job, was the manager of Liverpool. There were some idiots writing stories before Tuchel came at Chelsea that he might end up being a Chelsea manager. And if you look at what he's
linked with City.
So yeah, go and check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the Bet Victor channel and leave a comment saying that the GBFC Yes Guys family are in town. But let's take a little look at a tweet from Ben Jacobs. The notion of alarm in Whitehall at the Chelsea sale falling through is being denied by my DCMS sources. Abramovich has an independent advisor engaging with the government. The sale paperwork only arrived last week. There are still key points to be resolved though. So there's obviously the surface layer with all of this, that Todd Boehly is the winning bidder. Todd Boehly and Clearlake Capital will be the people who take over Chelsea Football Club. But when you've got a 2.5 billion sale of the club, when there is 2.5 billion pounds that needs to end up going somewhere, there are always going to be T's that need to be crossed, I's that need to be dotted before any of this becomes official. It's like when I move into this house, I could get evicted tomorrow if there isn't a contract signed, or at least that's the way it works in most places in the world. So with the sale of Chelsea Football Club, when things get delayed, especially for journalists, it does become like a nice little honeypot of speculation. I saw that there were some talks from certain reporters and reports earlier this week suggesting that the sale was gonna fall through, which didn't actually hold any factual relevance whatsoever, apart from the fact that because Boehly's been attending Chelsea games, because we found out a couple of weeks ago that Todd Boehly is the guy to be taken over, why isn't any of this announced? People see that there is this delay and assume that delay means that it's not going to go through. However, Chelsea can't provide too much due diligence on Camberley to the government. Even Clearlake Boehly know very little about the company. Rain Group told suitors they didn't have access to significant information on them during the bidding process. So, there are many other people involved within this situation. When Roman Abramovich was sanctioned by the UK government, what the UK government were trying to do, inhibit Roman Abramovich's ability to own Chelsea Football Club, to force him to have to sell the club. The idea in mind that it would be punishing Abramovich for any kind of involvement he had with the Russian government after Russia invaded Ukraine. Now this was seen as a power play from the UK government to make a statement. However, as a result of these decisions, there are other parties that need to be involved in order to make sure that the business economical side of the sale of Chelsea Football Club is managed accordingly. Now we know that Rain Group were the group that Roman Abramovich selected himself in order to manage this process. Now, there are also members from UNICEF, who obviously we all know UNICEF, massive charity-based foundation. UNICEF are now involved in making sure that wherever this money is right now, that Todd Boehly and Clearlake are actually putting forward to buy the club from Roman Abramovich, UNICEF are there to ensure that this money does end up going to the war victims in Ukraine the way that Roman Abramovich initially stated. There is a lot of talk about governments, about debts, equities in all of these reports from Ben Jacobs. But I think the main thing that we need to realise in a footballing sense, to keep it away from money and deadlines and all of this stuff, the deadline for Chelsea is May the 31st. We have currently a special operating licence. I do not for 1 second believe that if there are any more significant delays in this Boehly Clear Lake takeover of Chelsea Football Club, I do not believe that there will be any reason why this takeover will not be announced, completed officially, with all of everything signed, with paperwork done, by May the 31st. We have still got, I think it is 13 days, I think? I can't count. 13 days until May the 31st. And all of these scaremongering reports that the sale's gonna fall through. Roman Abramovich all of a sudden has allowed Chelsea to get buried into the earth because he's changed his mind again. This is all nonsense. And if you actually believe some of this stuff that you're reading, please don't do it. Don't read it. Do not look at it. Abramovich's people continue to maintain he is cooperating with the government and the sale. Hurdles and still some negotiation are to be expected. Like we said, something like this, you don't just click your finger and get everything done, especially in a takeover of this complexity. But a sale is still expected to be completed, and as far as I am being told, on time. Well, thank you very much, Ben Jacobs, for that reporting. There is, like I said, with some of the tweets put on the screen, there are a lot of big words and government words and equity words and debt words and Abramovich sale and unhappy and DCMS and all of this stuff. There's a lot of jargon there for those of us who don't know. So the big news is that the Telegraph have reported, so have the Times, that the Premier League's approval of Todd Boehly and Clear Lake is about to be imminently announced. And this is one of the big hurdles that Chelsea were needed to be concerned about when it came to Rain Group choosing the eventual winner to own Chelsea Football Club. The Premier League must go through a due diligence test to make sure that whoever takes over a Premier League club is fit to run the club in accordance to the way that the Premier League believe that football clubs should be ran. You don't want to see Premier League clubs being taken over by rich businessmen and being ran into the ground. Again, there is a lot of grey areas surrounding this because we have seen certain Premier League clubs be taken over by very rich businesses, very rich businessmen, women also, and there has become this big concern about, is it really because the fans are unhappy that the way their club's being ran and the way they're spending money? In some cases, you've got Arsenal, who make a lot of money as a club, but then the fans are unhappy that as a result of that, the footballing quality and what Arsenal achieve in a success statement in terms of football has gone down. You got Manchester United, who are now most commonly known as a club simply ran as a commercial entity. The Premier League are going to pass Todd Boehly and Clear Lake in this due diligence process. That is probably going to be announced by the time this video is out, if not imminently, as been reported by some of the more respectable journalists and newspapers in the UK. So any Chelsea fans that are concerned that it's not being announced yet, it's not happening yet, I don't think there's too much for us to worry about here. I think, as us Chelsea fans know, or most of us should know, this summer we've got a lot to look forward to. There are going to be a lot of players who leave the club. There are going to be probably a lot of signings. There is not a single part of me that believes that this sale process is going to fall through. I would try not to believe the rumours that Abramovich is frustrated and is willing to just let Chelsea go into the ground. This isn't really backed up by any kind of fact. So as much as I like to speculate transfers and stuff here on this channel, I think because this whole sale process has dragged on, people thought it was going to be done quicker. I probably thought it was going to be done quicker too when Rain Group chose that it is just Todd Boehly, Clear Lake who are going to be taking over. It's not quite being announced yet, but everything is in process, and there, as far as I'm aware, isn't anything significant holding the sale back. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video today. If you did enjoy it, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to GBFC if you are new around here, and stay tuned because later on today, there will be a second video where we can talk a bit more exciting things, transfers. Come on, you Blues.